All right, let's go back to the session on top of the hour. We start with another introduction round. So we would love to not only talk to you, we would love to learn more about you. And we have this habit of let us know where you are at the moment, what's your background and what brought you here. And I'm calling now Vince. Vince Trost, please introduce yourself quickly.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
My name's Vince. I am a data scientist working for a protocol called Passage. You can find us at passage.xyz. And we're working to build the membership layer of Ethereum and the broader EVM system. So yeah, I came here just via my knowledge of the crypto space. I knew Token Engineering Commons and the Academy existed, and super interested in like all of the ways that we can sort of quantify tokenomics. So excited to learn with y'all.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks for coming today. Great to have you here. And next one, let me check. Hugat Batia. I hope I pronounced it okay. Or Jugat. Would you like to switch on your mic and introduce yourself quickly? You can hear me. Jugat Batia. All right, no worries. Then let's go ahead with class.
Hey guys,
Hello.
Klaas. I'm from the Netherlands. Currently studying cybersecurity in my final year. Yeah, I'm in crypto since early 2017. Never left, and interested in different tokenomics models. Mainly reading about the curve and the flywheel effect. Yeah, that's it.
Awesome, great to have you here today. Thanks. And I've just realized that Zane Star has also joined the session. We've mentioned you a couple of times because people are actually pretty excited about your upcoming study group. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey, how's it going? It's still morning here on the West Coast, yes. So I'm Zane Star, and we have a new upcoming study group. It's kind of an intro to complex systems with tokens. So how did we arrive to this? We came to this kind of through the old study group called the CAD study group. And we kind of learned that people were having a harder time just like getting into modeling in itself. So we decided as a group to sort of restructure things in a way that could be maximally useful to like everyone. What we've done is put together a like sort of starting basis to start this process as like a set of 2-week sprints where the first week we sort of read this backing text, which is a CCO book on an introduction to complex systems. And we kind of have an open discussion about these things. And then we do a group exercise during that. So there'll be some like live coding where we can kind of like hang out and find out like what's working, what's not. And then the week after, we invite a expert from the community to kind of give us feedback on some of the stuff that we tried to do or topics that we learned about. We'll be looking to kick this off August 9th. So it should be really super fun, super collaborative, and sort of the takeaway and some stretch goals are to give back to the community in terms of like the knowledge base. So whether that's creating like definitions that we encounter, like what's an attractor, what does system stability look like, and sort of the other thing that we've kind of put an emphasis on are different sort of time scapes. So people that are in different time zones may have a hard time attending these things, but you still may have questions during the week. So what we've done is we've created a crypt pad, which is just a like sort of anonymous like notebook that you can write Markdown in. And so every week we'll have a crypt pad for people to write questions and then for the community to sort of answer this. And then during the sessions, we'll go over those questions and answers and see if we have more things to add. So a lot of cool things. I actually have a repo that's kind of a work in progress for people to look at if they're interested in more of the details. And I guess while I'm talking and looking for this repo link, I'll say a little bit more about myself. So name's Zane Starr. I've been in crypto since 2016, 2017. I used to work for Consensus, working on decentralized science fiction and sort of how do we build these kind of shared worlds. I was the tech lead there. And since then, I went to sort of like ETC Labs, where I was kind of in the role of partnerships. So meeting with different projects and seeing how they can collaborate within that sort of community and build things and then build tooling around that. So I'm also a maintainer of open specification called OpenRPC, which is used for crypto descriptions. And then I've also worked on like building agent model simulators, TokeSim. And so recently I spun out and I'm doing my own thing. And I've gotten a couple of grants from the Near Foundation to build marketplaces and to sort of think about like token economies. But by no means am I an expert. So this is still a peer-to-peer like learning experience. So it's going to be really open, super collaborative, super fun. Everything's about myself. I've been a developer for much longer than that, but I'll just talk about the crypto stuff. Find me on Discord and like feel free to DM me or whatever if you have like questions or interesting things. Yeah, pumped for this birthday party. Happy birthday,
Oh, yes.
Token Engineering Academy.
Yeah,
And
thanks for sharing. This was awesome, Saint. We actually shared a lot of links here, and thanks for dropping the GitHub. So this is definitely a super interesting study group to join. Thanks for the pitch. And we'll see you in one of the next sessions. So do you have a limit to the study group? Is there any limit in terms of maximum number of participants?
Right now, no.
Okay.
I think in the past we've had like participants come, and then sort of people come and they sort of drop out as like time goes on. So there's no limit, and if it gets crazy, that's amazing. Okay, I'll take it. We'll figure it out.
Okay, brilliant. Yeah, I bet you'll have a lot of attendees. The program is awesome. Thanks so much for sharing. Now, we'd like to continue with an overview on T fundamentals. We've scheduled a 90 minutes AMA session because we, of course, everyone is excited about T fundamentals. We've received more than 1,800 signups, and still there might be open questions. And most important, you might be interested to hear when this is finally live. And let me now, pull up my slides and share some more context on T fundamentals. Then you'll get to know the course creators. We have General Magic here in the room, Andrew and Jessica, who are producing the course, who have shaped and designed the content and are now full speed working on it to get it ready for the launch. But before that, some words about this whole why T fundamentals. So you probably know or have heard that token engineering is an emerging discipline focused on the design, validation, and optimization of token-based economic systems. And it's a super young discipline. It was first mentioned only in 2018. And thus, we don't have any education in this sector. When we started in 2018 with running meetups, we step by step found all the disciplines that are relevant, but there's no synthesis. So there's no place on this planet, no university to study this. So we decided in the community to build up our own educational program. And T Fundamentals is actually the result of this, the first education and certification program in this new sector. And it's free, no fees, available online around the globe. And you've heard the local hosts talking about why they are running study sessions, and that's exactly what we were hoping to see. There's an article on Medium you can read with a summary, and there was a Twitter thread a while ago. Why are we building T fundamentals? And it started with this notion that it's a 100% cross-disciplinary field. And it's so hard then to collaborate, to have a common ground. You don't even understand what I don't understand. We need social scientists, we need mathematicians, we need AI and data science, we need behavioral economics, we need game theory, we need politics, political science to shape these new systems. And it's just hard to find a common ground. And T fundamentals is this shared understanding of the methods, of the process, of the tools we use, of the terminology, in order to not only, educate individuals, but also to unleash the full potential in collaboration. And this needs standards. Try to imagine open source software development without the standards established in GitHub. So just simple things that we don't have yet in token engineering when it comes to, good frameworks, good templates, libraries of reusable models, whatever, good documentations to start with of cryptoeconomic systems. And we hope to see that very soon. We don't wish only for a brighter future, we build it together. This was what we have been discussing last year in August, actually, first time, and only some months later, we are building it. This is a screenshot of meetings in the team, building token engineering fundamentals, and also a meeting with our local hosts. And some numbers on the student side. This is just from data from yesterday, 1,872 signups in total, and really a good share in economics, in engineering beyond, software engineering, in data science, in mathematics, in physics, 50 PhDs. That's what we actually were hoping to achieve, to attract people with relevant backgrounds, again, cross-disciplinary, and we need all these people on board in crypto to build really good, great, sustainable, robust cryptoeconomic systems. And 33% of them say, I'm planning to take up a token engineering role. So this is not only about exploring opportunities, they'd like to become token engineers. And this is also a very positive signal, because our ultimate goal is to have more token engineers in crypto projects to make this expertise available in the crypto sector. Your journey starts with studying T fundamentals. You can contribute to T Knowledge Commons, as we've seen throughout the day. You can spin up a study group. You can help others to learn. You can build up tool overviews like Mike did, and you can, of course, support hosts in running their study groups. This is contribution to T Knowledge Commons. You can and should experiment. So we'll continue running open science initiatives as we did with Gitcoin grants, exploring the quadratic funding sensitivities, building balancer simulations, going through the design process of HydraDX, Omnipool, and working on new DAO reward systems and simulations for reward systems. This is all experimentation. Test your skills, try to come up with crazy solutions for crypto challenges. This is the experimental pillar. And then last but not least, T Academy is also about matchmaking, about finding projects, finding teams to work with, and taking part in our matchmaking program. Stanislav, you have a question.
not a question, but things you are told resonates with me. So I want to raise a hand and tell a couple words. Could you give me time?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to say that you told about collaboration of people from different fields in building tokenomics, people from social science, from behavioral science, and so on. And I want to say that the idea why I decided to create Vignette visual editor is to give visual language for collaboration of people from different disciplines. I could, for example, share my screen and show several examples so that you will see how it is easy to understand these diagrams while they have strong meaning. So it's not just image, but they contain logic, and this is the way for communication between people. And so this is the tool which will maybe help to unite all people from different fields. Yeah.
That's cool. Zanislav, maybe drop the link to your project in the chat. I think visual representation is super important. You mentioned an important topic, mapping out systems, understanding or being able to step back and see the whole system and then diving into the components of the system is super important. And also having this shared diagramming language. There are several approaches to that. And I'm super keen to see your approach. Let's check it out, and always happy to see if we can, you know, spin up something, community activity around mapping out systems, around diagramming. That's really cool. Thanks for sharing. I now
yes,
just want to, you shared it?
I sent the link, and I want to say that this is a link for technical project, but also I described diagrams for experiment from cognitive psychology. That's how it is universal. Thank you. That's all.
Brilliant. Thanks, Stanislav. We'll get back to this. The new platform. In parallel to launching T Fundamentals as a course, we'll relaunch our website. And that said, I'd like to invite General Magic on stage. I think Marco, Peter, Tosin are in the call now.
Yes, thank you very much, Angela. I'm here. I think I've seen Tosin. I'm not sure I've seen Peter. I have to apologize for Valerie not joining us because she had a conflicting meeting. And I think I also noticed Rohit here. He's an ex, we're like ex-magician. So just cheers to Rohit here as well. Thanks for the invite, Angela.
Yeah, actually, General Magic and the Academy are collaborating in building this new platform. I've brought some first previews of the web page, like this one. It's in static layout designs. And maybe you can say some more words about your role here and your job in mapping out this new platform. And then we can also continue with the NFTs and the role NFTs will play.
Yeah, I think my role is not that much relevant here. I mean, we initiated that. Well, just to introduce myself, my name is Marco. I'm a UX designer by trade, but I'm like a manager at General Magic. And just quickly to give you a little bit of context, who we are, what we do, because we're pretty fresh and new, actually, well, almost 2 years. Basically, General Magic provides solution services for impact DAOs. We're like a Web3 native service DAO, but we're exclusively supporting organizations that provide public good and those organizations who work in the blockchain for good space. In late 2020, General Magic spun out actually out of Giveth Galaxy, where we were already supporting projects like Giveth, AppNode, CommonStack, Panvala, BradID, and a few others. And today we're like almost 40 people and we're growing, and we have like deep roots in the Ethereum ecosystem with a wide range of skills and expertise supporting design, development, parameterization, communications, hiring efforts of aforementioned projects, but also some of the new projects are ClearFund, Aragon, ENS, TEC, and now T Academy. some of the projects that we worked on, not sure if people here maybe know about Praise system that we developed together with the Common Stack. Then also the Common Simulator that was used to design and assist launching the economy of the token engineering commons. And we also have a couple of internal projects that we're developing on our own. Today, we're happy to support the Academy in their efforts to provide education platform for, I guess, the next wave of token engineers, and who might also become one of the next contributors of, I don't know, maybe your organization, but also those who will be contributing in advancing the field of token engineering globally. So yeah, that's just briefly about us. You can, I guess, follow us on Twitter at GeneralMagicIO until we have our website up and be able to share you guys with more details what we do. And yeah, so the Academy website, the new website is not just the website, it's actually the whole platform where the courses will be available for students. And I don't know if maybe Dawson or Peter wants to jump in here and maybe just give a brief overview of that. Or Angela, I'm not sure not what slides you have prepared furthermore. So
we will check out the profile. Maybe Dawson and Peter at least say a quick hello. So I don't expect a big presentation.
Oh, and hi, Jessica. Nice to see you here.
Hi, everybody. So I'm Tosin, lead UX designer on the token engineering platform. So nice to meet everybody, and I'm really looking forward to collaborating with everybody. So, Peter.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Nice to be here. My name is Peter. I'm from Nigeria. I'm one of the visual designers that worked on the Token Engineering Academy project. Yeah, it's been really like amazing collaborating with Angela, working on the product and really fleshing out every single part of the product. So, you know, meet her needs and make sure that the next set of token engineers have like, you know, ease with the product. So yeah, like it's really amazing to see you all here. And yeah.
And I must say, I really enjoy collaborating with you guys. Our Figma conversations back and forth at pretty much any time of the day. But we were super fast, and yeah, I'm very much looking forward to see this live. And now for everyone who signed up for TE Fundamentals, you might not only have signed up for the course, but also for the opportunity to share, okay, I have the fundamental understanding in token engineering and add this to your personal track record. And that's what actually the platform is for. So a major component of building the TE platform is that you'll have your profile there and that you can add your certificates and NFTs to your personal profile. So information about yourself, links, projects you have been working on, repositories you'd like to share, plus the badges you've earned either via studying TE fundamentals and successfully passing the exams, or via contributing to TE Knowledge Commons, like the project owners that you've met today, like CC Star, like Mike, like the local hosts, Marcelo, Tiago, Mark. Everyone who is spinning up a study group for TE Fundamentals has the chance to also add earn an NFT and add this to your personal track record. Similarly, if you contribute to open source software, this can be part of your particular skills that you can prove. And of course, we have been working on, okay, how can we make this best fit? Currently, there are huge opportunities, I would say, in creating a whole set of, you know, proving your skills, proving your knowledge, not only in token engineering, but beyond, to integrate this to a wider space. And then we enter the DAO space and decision-making power, reputation, weighted voting. And this can be all part of your NFT identity. And your TE track record is certainly one of a huge part of this identity. And These profiles will be publicly shareable, so easy to integrate, easy to share, and then also find projects and find collaborators. Now, I stop for a moment just in case you might have any questions. On this NFT thing, the platform.
I see Gabriel posted a comment saying soulbound tokens. I just wanted to say, like, we're really deeply investigating all possible solutions and protocols we could use here. And it's a hot topic and discussion right now. And I think we're gonna find the best possible solution for the MVP right now, but also we're thinking ahead of how we can build something that is more like something for a long term and something that will be available for the whole ecosystem later on. So soulbound tokens were part of the discussion. Obviously, I would love we had Vitor here because he's our NFT expert. But yeah, a lot of things are currently in discussion. I guess we can't reveal much yet because we're still it's still up in the air. No decision has been made. But yeah, we're thinking about all of that.
Yeah, definitely expect that you'll be able to show your TE track record at the TE platform and in the NFT world. Any other questions on that one?
How could we contribute?
To contribute to what exactly?
To the platform?
To the platform, it's currently being built. So at this point, I think we are fine, but there are certainly many more iterations on, TE track records, building up skill trees for token engineers, finding ways to visualize the special, special areas of expertise in token engineering. These are the next steps we envision for the NFT proofs in token engineering. So keep your eyes peeled. And happy to continue creativity and experimentation on this angle. All right. The launch of TE Fundamentals. So the course, we announced it first time in February, then took some month to build it, and now today we'll announce the launch date. It will be live at DEF CON, October, Bogota, Colombia. There's the full release. But in October, it's available online for everyone. You get early access if you join a study group. So we have been mentioning we A, have first local hosts to run study groups, and B, we are asking everyone who's interested in spinning up an own study group in a particular language that isn't covered yet, or for a particular, peer group, people with an engineering background, people with a data science background, people who speak Japanese, whatever you are missing, let us know and apply for the study groups. Maybe we can share the link in the chat again, Patty. And then these study groups will have early access. So if you join a study group, you can go over first course modules, you can check out the exam and earn your first NFT right away in October once TE Fundamentals is live. And we'll kick off these study groups on September 12th. So now it's the time to apply. We'll have the onboarding in August. Here's the link to the form again. And yeah, make sure you check out the study groups. Then you can start in September. And now I'd like to go take a closer look to the course content. So we have been talking a lot about TE Fundamentals becoming the common ground for token engineering. Today, Andrew's here in the call and Jessica, and I would love to go over the course content together with you to share some more details about what's actually the sections, the actual content of TE Fundamentals. Andrew, would you like to start maybe?
Sure. I've been working on the part that is actually token engineering based on material that was originally developed by the TE Labs group. And I think what's amazing about the material that we have is that it really connects, like Angela was saying, it really connects the different aspects of token engineering that have been in disparate places before, where you had to look for them very hard, and it connects them together. So it goes through the process of from talking to a client, making sure that the right mental model is mapped out and you understand what the product is supposed to be, developing the mathematical formulas and equations based on that. And we go through examples of how that works, and then actually how to build it in the computer, building a digital twin of the system. So I hope I haven't said too much about what we're doing, but that's the outline of it. And it's really exciting because it is a very, I feel, coherent narrative of the process of token engineering from the very beginning of the idea to having a digital twin that will verify that the product you want to build will behave as expected.
Yeah, Andrew, I guess it's totally fine to go over the content a little bit. I wonder, should I share the script, or is there any other resource just to provide a first overview? Maybe
Yeah,
the
script.
Table of content?
The table of contents from the script would be fine.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Give me a second.
And we are going to be making an effort to make sure that the course is engaging. Of course, to be a token engineer, you have to do a lot of work, and some of it is very cognitively challenging at times, but we have put in a lot of work in making the course accessible and understandable. So I'm working on sections 2, 3, and 4, and 5 as well, I guess. The discovery phase, the design phase, and the deployment phase. And you can see there are all these aspects, some of which I didn't really even know. I was primarily focused on the math before I started this project, but learning about the communication processes, the tools from business and traditional engineering, and the tools that have been developed new specifically for token engineering organizations and individuals, has just been really exciting for me. I feel like I've learned a lot from the course, even though I had already been in the token engineering ecosystem for a bit when I started working on it. So I really think there's a lot of valuable knowledge in it, and that we're working definitely to make sure that it's engaging and accessible to students.
I wonder if we can take a quick look at these phases. Just to give a first impression of the token engineering process.
Sure. So the discovery phase is the part where a client has a product idea and they want to discuss with the engineer what it would take to build it and what that would look like. And I think the difficulty of this phase is typically underrated by people who don't come from an engineering background, because the worst thing you can do is spend a lot of time building something that doesn't match the client's expectations. So being very clear about the discovery phase and all of the different tools, diagrams, canvases, we discuss, just the importance of communication and making sure that you have everything set up so that when you start making the equations and making the mathematical models, that they correspond to reality, because that's likely where you're going to lose the client. They probably won't be able to read the mathematical models. But if a token engineer has done their job well, they will have a clear picture of how the value is supposed to flow through the network and what user interactions are supposed to happen. And they'll be able to translate that into a mathematical model that represents those things accurately. Systems thinking is a big part of that. And a lot of this overlaps with things that are going to be happening in the CAD study groups and the complex system groups, because all of these are standard things in complex systems design and systems engineering. And after that's really clearly mapped out and we're cognitively certain that we and the client are on the same page, then we want to go and actually make it be math. And the math part is the design phase, where we are going through and making sure that we can actually build a mathematical representation, what's called a state space representation, where everything that could change in the system has a variable so that we can track it in our simulation later, and that we're clear on exactly how things will change, because all these systems are, about, at the end of the day, they're about data in a computer. So they're represented by numbers or by things that have some type of mathematical foothold, at least. But there's actually a very well understood formalism for how to represent these things. And that's what we go over in the design phase. And then finally, in the deployment phase is when you actually start building a version of the system that can actually run, so that you can double check everything, because the math by itself can't simulate, like you can't simulate a jet engine just in equations. You can't simulate a complex cryptoeconomic system just by looking at the equations. You have to turn it over to some kind of modeling framework, whether it's CAD or Token Spice or some of the others that we've just seen. So the deployment phase is where it actually gets in the computer, and you're able to see what it would look like in its native digital environment. And that's really exciting. So it covers the entire process of going from an idea in a client's mind to something that's actually running on a computer, and traces the steps and the tools that are needed to make that journey happen. And one more thing, yes, very important. So you can't really start this process if you don't have some kind of background in the math. However, we want to give people an opportunity to onboard quickly. So we have refreshers where maybe you're an economist, but you don't know control theory, or you're an engineer, but you don't know anything about markets. So that we have the minimum viable knowledge you would need to be able to understand what's happening at the level that it's being presented. So the refreshers are an important part, where the knowledge that we're going to share in the refreshers are things that, in a perfect world, if you had like 4 bachelor's degrees in all of the relevant cryptoeconomic disciplines, you might not need any of these. But of course, no one does. So everyone's going to probably need some level of review, and that's what the refreshers are for, to make it so you don't have to go out and take an entire class on just one to get just one subject that's really important. And I think those are the main highlights from my perspective.
All right.
Yeah.
Maybe we should check if we have any questions on the content Andrew presented, or on the learning journey in general. Just switch on your mic or drop a note in the chat. Stanislav, you have a question.
Andrew, thank you for your description of the book. You mentioned that understanding math is necessary here. So when we have some problem statement for economic building, we have some words describing the problem. At some moment, you draw equations, and after that, solution of the equations could be checked sometimes automatically, because there are a lot of environments for that, from mathematical or other modeling tools. And so, am I right that the key point where you should understand math to is when you, from a common reasoning, switch to equations? So this transition is the most important for you to understand. The only necessary thing where you should understand math to understand that transition, and so to be sure that the token solution is correct.
Yeah, so I would agree with you that math in token engineering is largely used as a translation or transition between an intuitive idea and then something that you can put in a computer. It's kind of like a bridge between, we understand it this way. There's not a lot of, the math is not excessively formal that we're covering. So there's lots of stuff that you can get by without, heavy theorems or a lot of experience. It's just more about having the comfort level to where you can be conversant in it. So certainly the math that a typical undergraduate engineer learns is more than enough for what we're going to be covering in the course. And I mean, I'm a mathematician and I love math. And sometimes I'm a bit sad at the fact that I don't get to push more math in. But the truth is that math in this context has a pretty specific purpose. And so one of the ways that we're able to get people up to speed quicker is to focus on the math that's truly necessary for the types of things we're discussing.
Okay, I'm familiar with category theory, a visual math language which allows to put into diagrams for equations, and also there is ability to put into diagrams some logical reasonings. And so you could compare diagrams between equations and reasonings, and that gives you ability to validate that your transition from reasonings to equation is correct.
That's a wonderful approach. I like category theory. I haven't looked at it in many years. I did read the book by McLean and Burkhoff many years ago, but I'd love to discuss that with you at some point. I feel like the math toolkit of token engineering is constantly expanding. In terms of what we're covering in the fundamentals course, we're going to just stick to the things that have already been utilized up to this point, but who knows what may emerge in the future.
Okay, thank you.
All right, and we had similar questions in the chat. I guess they are covered already. What's the highest level of math required? Calculus, differential equations? Guess you touched on this already.
Yeah, there are parts of math that you need where you just need like a small piece of it. So you need to have familiarity with what a vector is, but you don't need everything that comes from multivariable calculus. So my opinion is that we should be shooting for a level where people who are familiar with calculus and differential equations will then be able to pick up the few pieces they need moving past that. For a lot of people, the hardest part is just like, maybe they're an engineer, but they took calculus 10 years ago. So they really just do need a refresher of a quick jog to get back what they once were very fluent in.
And Sisyphus, would you like to switch on your mic for this question, maybe?
Yeah, sure. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
All right, awesome. So again, great content, Andrew. Find it very interesting. So math aside, I was wondering if really and you may have said this and I may have missed it by looking into the details of the content, but is there intent overall to kind of provide maybe contextual knowledge and the tools for somebody to kind of face a project end to end, looking at things like understanding the requirements and maybe documenting them and applying some of those tools to design the solution?
I really want to defer to Angela here in terms of
Okay.
what the overall intent is.
Right. Number one, yes, we, of course, the core is the design, the formulation, the digital twin, running simulations, but we totally acknowledge that a huge responsibility of token engineers is to communicate and also to, find good ways and develop good methods, for example, for the requirements engineering. And here we'll share number one, the conceptual framework, how to approach requirements engineering, exploring stakeholders, their potential roles, their assets they can bring to the table, potential incentive mechanisms, also templates you might be able to use, then easy diagramming tools that we found pretty useful for not only for token engineers, but also for communications with stakeholders to verify your assumptions. This is for the early stage. And then also for the later stage, super important, number one, how to communicate the results and run simulations and experiments in a structured way so that you can get the expectations of your stakeholders right when it comes to, okay, what are our results, what's our recommendation, what is the best parameter setting, for example, and then B, take a structured approach in running these experiments and simulations, not only once, but also in integrating this to a product roadmap. And that's something, yeah, thanks for the question, that is super important and relevant. Last but not least, I should mention, we have, compared to engineering, mechanical systems, robotics, we have a whole new layer in crypto that is governance. And here again, token engineers play a very important role in understanding the system, being able to monitor the system and analyze it, being able to implement controls and feedback loops, and then last but not least, design good governance mechanisms. And there's a whole section in TE fundamentals in this course dedicated to this topic. And that's probably a good moment to call Jessica on stage. Jessica Sutler, who is leading the development of this module of the TE fundamentals course.
Hi everyone, I appreciate so much the discussion, questions, all of your attention. And yeah, I guess the first thing I want to say is thank you so much to everyone here. And Angela and Patricia, I know you carry a heavy load and do so many things. I don't know how you do it, but thank you for all of your work and also for extending the opportunity to us to come and share knowledge. I guess the first comment before I jump into the section that I'm working to develop is just that, yeah, kind of what Angela, along the lines of what Angela was saying. I mean, because these are socio-technical systems, there's also a huge element besides the engineering work and even the governance. There's, you know, institutional or organizational design, which, you know, this course is really just the foundational block, or like the cornerstone, the building brick, and we're anticipating that there will be years and years of courses to be created. But to your question of, yeah, end to end, I mean, based on my experience at Block Science, which is a complex systems engineering firm doing a lot of this work now, there is a lot involved, and the kind of like clients or projects are coming to us in all different parts of this pipeline. So yeah, this is, as it's called, fundamentals. I mean, there's so much to explore, and we're trying to condense it and kind of bring you up to speed as fast as humanly possible. But of course, you know, studying is one thing and application is another, and it's a very sharp learning curve. But I feel confident that what we're developing will quickly kind of help you get up to speed. Again, it's so multidisciplinary. We're crossing so many different fields and traversing, and a lot of this we can draw from existing fields, but it is a bit new in this context. So with that, I will just quickly introduce myself and advertise with some new swag. My name is Jessica Sutler, and I am acting as a course creator here. I'm a token engineering and governance researcher at Block Science. It's a complex system engineering firm, as I mentioned. I'm also an advisor to the Token Engineering Academy, which basically means I've been volunteering my time for a couple of years now just to support Angela with different things. I'm also was one of the founding stewards of the Token Engineering Commons, though I am no longer inactive because there's so many other projects going on. I'm also the former lead of ecosystem development at the Commons Stack, which means I care very much about regenerative systems. I have a background in political science and journalism, which is in education also, so it's kind of cool. I'm coming full circle in my own journey back to when I was a journalist. I was covering, you know, local politics in the US at, you know, the county, state, and federal levels. So kind of coming full circle in my political science studies to how this applies in the context of token-based systems. I also studied a bit of yogic science and philosophy. I started working in crypto and blockchain in about 2014. And I'm really passionate about learning, teaching, exploring the collective intelligence, and how we can integrate technology to support well-being for all life on this planet, really. So yes, Angela approached me and said, hey Jess, can you put this course together? And to be honest, I thought, I don't know if I'm the right person. Is this even possible? How do we begin to unpack such an incredibly challenging topic? This is the kind of oldest challenge in all of human history. How do we coordinate humans together? Most people fight with their spouse over, you know, money, finances. How can we come together with different cultural contexts, different backgrounds, you know, thousands of people in a DAO or in a token-based system to coordinate, to distribute resources? Yeah, I mean, people write books about this stuff. So how are we going to possibly make a course, you know, that you can do in 4 months when people study this for lifetimes? So yeah, I mean, ideally, we can find examples of community decision-making that work. What does work actually mean and look like? We can learn a lot from history. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. There are many civilizations that kind of flourished, that were able to distribute resources and make decisions together. So yeah, we're looking at how can we embed different values, adaptivity, ecological health into our decision-making systems. That's not what this course covers. I wish I had the answers. We don't actually have the answers to a lot of these questions. This is a collective effort to build this knowledge. But what this course is a place to begin. So, you know, where learning mostly begins is with questions. So we're going to explore together with curiosity, self-reflection, examine different mental models, and begin to understand what we know we don't know, and acknowledge there's a lot that we don't know. I hope that logic puzzle made sense to you. So yes, but I think there's a certain level of diligence and caring and awareness that the Token Engineering Academy is trying to instill in the way that we approach these questions. And again, approaching from questions, not with solutions, not with, hey, this technical thing is going to solve governance, this token's going to solve governance. We know that's not the case. So looking at really how to understand context, get a little more tangible here. So yeah, as I mentioned, there is some theory, but really trying to make this kind of practical or tangible in examining some examples from the space that we've seen. And I will go ahead and share my screen now so that I can show you the outline and the learning outcomes. And like governance, we are, oh, am I frozen here? Like governance, this is evolving. This course is also dynamic and evolving, and I've taken a lot of time to go around to different people who I see as kind of thought leaders or people that really have knowledge in different fields that have been writing about these things, pull from their papers. And I'm looking, you know, myself as kind of like, I'm sorry?
No worries, I guess.
Oh,
just
you can still hear me?
noise.
Okay, cool. So yeah, this course offers a base level map and kind of a partial curation of the landscape of research of the open and evolving design space of token-based governance. With a multidisciplinary approach, we're going to delve into definitions, key concepts, and provide a framework and a context through which to explore, analyze, and initialize Web3 governance systems and processes. So I'll just read out the learning outcomes to you, and this will give you a more tangible understanding of the kind of things that I hope you will take away from this course. After the program, you'll be able to and have understand and explain a key definition of governance in the context of Web3, a base level understanding of key concepts and how they apply to DAOs and Web3, explain decentralization as a spectrum and how DAOs and token-based systems and goals relate, learn how the engineering process and engineer's loop applies to governance, and be able to use the mental model for Web3 governance that we're going to share to kind of analyze case studies, governance models. Basically, there's 4 questions that we can ask ourselves when we're exploring systems. A brief introduction to an exploratory framework via cybernetics and control theory. Exposure to examples of governance system and documentation, and an introduction to voting types and governance tools in Web3 and how they may be composed and customizable. Explain some key elements and mechanisms of use cases. We'll have several kind of examples, but the main 2 that we're going to focus on for the analysis section is OneHive and also Lido, and how they relate to cybernetics and DAOs. Explain why mapping and diagramming are so important in governance analysis and design, and for stakeholder participation and agency in decentralized systems or distributed systems, and be able to create a basic input-output diagram. Understand and explain the importance of the decision space and voting space, as well as key questions for the decision space, and be able to add questions of your own. And we're also going to look at different types of capital, different types of voting, potential trade-offs, and key considerations for initializations of a system, as well as be able to create a basic process tools diagram for one decision example. Some of that may mean more than others without seeing what it actually is, but I will just quickly go over the outline, say a few more things, and then ask for your questions. So part of this and the artifact that we're creating here that I think will be really valuable, I kind of joke around that I'm an interdimensional librarian. I love nerding out when it comes to curation. What I've found in this space is that there's knowledge everywhere and great articles, but there are not as many people curating or kind of creating this curation layer. So we're going to have a really super great couple of reading lists. The pre-reading list, which you'll get when you dive into the course, it's going to take about 20 hours of study. So you can anticipate some really great time reading in your hammocks or wherever to get off your computer, maybe reading outside. We have general topics, so a lot of different articles that are kind of central to governance and Web3. I won't go that slow to show you, but more so just show you that there's going to be a lot of reading, and that there's going to be a kind of general reading list. There's a concepts reading list, and the concepts we're going to be going over are algorithms as policy, autonomy, complexity theory and organization, complex adaptive systems, computer-aided governance, DAOs. You'll see there are 10 articles there. Decentralization, governance minimization, polycentric governance, progressive decentralization, socio-technical systems, subsidiarity Web3. You'll be experts by the time you get out of this course. And one I am still building will be a glossary of voting types and mechanisms. So you may, a lot of people building in the space may never have taken a political science class before. So we've got, one person, one vote, one token, one vote, quadratic voting. You may have seen these terms floating around, and there's a lot of assumption that people are very familiar. So I'm working to build a glossary as well. So there'll be some diamonds. Somebody said to me yesterday, oh yes, it's like you're taking carbon and compressing to make a diamond. And that's kind of it, is really what's hardest about this course is there's so much to cover. I've done my best to kind of synthesize and highlight what I think are kind of some of the traps, some of the areas that really need context in a lot of the major dialogue in the space. So yes, that's the reading. And then the sections, there's a context and defining governance section, exploring definitions only to understand the semantics that are not helpful. We're not going to get totally sucked into academic debates about what is governance and how do we define it. It's more so to understand how people are talking about it and what's really important to cut through the BS or the kind of projected narrative versus the reality. And this is what I'm really trying to get at in this course is the more people that we have who can understand, map these systems, really know that a lot of these things are spectrums, that there are multiple layers in these systems, there's a lot of complexity. The more we can kind of really call BS on projected narratives and to be more informed stakeholders and also more responsible in designing these systems. So that is my hope. And we have an analysis section, a design section, which I'll say, I don't expect somebody coming out of this module to know how to go and design an institution or an organization and develop a governance system. What you could be is a really great advisor, perhaps at that level. So we're looking at this as a jumping off point and potentially this becoming its own module, so that if you're not into calculus and engineering methodology and you're more into social sciences, that you could just specialize in governance, and also to help to figure out what are the other parts that are really important for people in token-based systems to understand about governance. So I'll end with, this is an open invitation as well to collaborate with me and others that are in this ecosystem in building this knowledge library for everyone to share and to contribute to. So I'll stop there, and I'm really excited to hear your interest. Why are you here, and what questions you have initially after hearing this, these details.
Okay, maybe we can scroll up to the learning goals as well. Is there anything that you would like to learn more about, or clarification questions? I mean, it's really huge and a wide space, and I'm super grateful that even with the very first governance module we've ever offering, or we will be ever offering in token engineering, we are covering such a wide space. Can't wait to get access and start reading, Leah. Exactly, agree. Okay, Scott, would you like to switch on your mic and just ask your question? Okay, or I read it out. Yeah, Scott's asking, curious what the definition of Web3 is as it pertains to this section.
Definition of Web3 as it pertains to this section?
Well, here's my question, is that you have, like, you're defining other areas within blockchain, but there's no definition of what Web3 is as it pertains to this course, or on how, like, everybody needs to be on the same sheet of music, I guess, to say. And as far as, so what is the definition here? If you're teaching this, I think it's good that they have an understanding of what the foundation is being built on as far as Web3. I don't know, just something that popped in my head whenever you were going over it. I'm not trying to beat up your
no, I appreciate
your information that you provided. I think it's great.
Yeah, I appreciate that so much. It's a great distinction. And yeah, a part of the challenge with knowledge curation and building in this space is many of these definitions are not really formalized. And you could have hours-long conversations and write academic papers about these things. For this context, I am considering Web3 to be, and this is part of the first section of looking at governance, is that in Web 2, this was like, the platform economy, and there wasn't this element of collaborative systems design. So in Web3, in this context, we're looking at how participants or stakeholders are also working to shape the field of action that they are playing on, versus Web 2, there wasn't this level of like collaborative design. So I do mention that as like the primary distinction. This is also like a working title of the course I've debated at length what to call it, because Web3 token-based systems, even I was discussing with Dr. Michael Sargum yesterday what the difference between crypto economics and token engineering is. This has not been formalized. No one's even written about this. He was kind of positing that it's a focus on ethics. So many of these terms are underdefined. So as I mentioned, we can go for a really long time into the semantics of definitions. I would like to understand the important aspect of what you're bringing, which is the difference between Web 2 or Web 3. And even some people say the term Web 3 is complete BS. It doesn't mean anything. It's just, you know, the next, like, how many numbers are we going to count to? It's more about understanding the main mental model that we're operating under. So I really appreciate you bringing this question. But we will try not to get too bogged down in definitions. Is that helpful for you, or?
Yeah, no, that's great. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the time.
Sure.
Any other questions? You have the chance now.
Does anyone want to share what's maybe your interest in governance, or share a reflection on anything that you've seen that you're kind of curious to go deeper into on like Twitter, or in a lot of discussions, or that groups are having, or groups that you've participated in and been a part of?
Yeah, I'm actually interested in governance because I'm currently working with Andreessen Horowitz, and they invest in DAOs. But one thing that I'm really passionate about is decentralizing governance and making it so that, you know, large players, large whales don't have say over decentralized protocols. I'm actually working with their token delegation program. So they are working on, you know, delegating more tokens to smaller players actively. But it was just something that I got really passionate about, and then came across some text on token engineering. And that's how I landed here. Yeah, no plutocracy here.
That's really interesting and fantastic, and I think that's a topic that a lot of people are interested in. And funny, I actually have a section on plutocracy here, in that it's in the eye of the bag holder, if you will. If the system is primarily providing financial services, or if the goal or purpose of the system is just to make money, then plutocracy actually isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's more the context pursuant to the goal or the purpose of the system and what we are trying to optimize for, which again, there's usually a kind of projected or explicit narrative or goal, and then there are often implicit dynamics that are affecting the system. So we will touch on exactly that and much context around it. So I think you will find this very interesting.
Awesome. Looking forward to it.
I am very interested in the intersection of governance, legal entities, and regulation, because in the projects I have been involved in the past 2 years, there's always this big question mark about how do we reflect capital, actual property that we are dealing with through tokens and governance, and how does this goes in a balance sheet or as part of the transactions that are being conducted by a regular enterprise or entity. So I'm very much looking forward to understand what goes behind the tokenomics, to be able to help my client represent this into legal contracts.
Very cool. Yeah, I saw that you were in Colombia, and you made a comment that you'll be at DevCon. I'll say there are a few mentions of law, particularly pertaining to often groups need to appear as sufficiently decentralized, so they quickly say, yes, we're going to airdrop everyone governance tokens, and it's kind of like a multi-sig hot potato, like, we're not responsible, we're decentralized. So I guess there's a few mentions of motivations that are particularly a response to regulation, but I don't have expertise in this area. So I look forward to perhaps you looking at the course, giving some feedback, and sharing what would be interesting for people in law. And maybe we can ask someone to create a small course or module or open research initiative bringing together lawyers to discuss this topic, because it does come up a lot. But there are a few mentions in regards to tokenomics and governance in the course, but not super, focused on that. But there's a few mentions of where this is coming up.
Oh, but the fact is that for us attorneys to be able to create some regulations, we need to understand what's underneath, and that's my huge expectation, to be able to understand it through the course.
And you definitely will. I guess how I would phrase it, we don't take governance from a legal perspective or from a regulatory perspective, but on the other hand, you'll get a really deep dive into all the facets of governance when it comes to token-based systems. Hope this helps.
Yeah, I hope that's helpful.
Absolutely.
And I'm just looking for the last questions in the chat. Someone mentioned.
I have a question.
Sure.
Okay. So with the recent situation with Lido DAO and yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear. Go ahead.
Yeah. So with the recent situation with Lido DAO and Dragonfly.
Oh, now the sound seems to be broken again.
Okay, is it clear now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear you again.
Okay, yeah. So with the recent situation, because Dragonfly Capital was trying to sway the votes in their favor, and somehow after a period of voting, it went the other way. The community actually wanted. Yeah. Are there new models where governance voting, decentralized governance voting can be made fair for every member of the community, to have a level playing field? Because it will always sway in the direction of the wealthy or those with more tokens in the system. I don't know if they are exploring new ways of voting.
This is a huge question. Fair is very subjective. Certainly, what I think we can do is understand the purpose of the system, map the stakeholders, and look at what mechanism and tools are available. But I mean, this is really a subjective question that would be up to the community, and fairness is kind of getting into a super subjective topic. But I guess what we'll do in the course is look at, there are certain things that are present every time you have a system. Like there's always an initial token distribution, and even most organizations or projects, they do an initial token distribution, but they don't really account for future stakeholders. One group that did do something about this was the Regen Network. Actually, they're the only project I've ever seen that actually set aside 1/3 of their initial token distribution for future stakeholders, being on the ground communities that would eventually be onboarded into their ecosystem. So this is one potential example of an interesting idea or something that you can do to kind of mitigate or allow for that possibility. I think the main issue is that many projects in this space are mixing political ideology with something that may not even be social. For example, as I mentioned earlier, financial services. The other big issue is it is a very short-sighted space, and there isn't much. A lot of the mental models see these systems as being static, and they're not. So we're looking at adaptivity as a key design principle. So it really depends on your set of stakeholders, what they are agreeing to when they enter in the system, who is writing the rules, who has access to change the rules, who is affected by these decisions? Do they have a say? So we're kind of approaching more to develop this understanding of some of these different aspects, how to approach. But I'd say, there isn't really an answer to your question, but there are a lot of mechanisms that we can compose, and depending on the context, in order to suit what it is that different stakeholder groups are desiring to receive or how they would like to participate in the system. That's the best I can do in 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Sure.
That sounds great.
I really love this conversation because actually already I feel like I would be in the first study group. Mm-hmm. And this is amazing to see. I think maybe we stop here and just, again, here's the reminder. We'll launch the course September 12th, not all the modules. So you'll be informed what modules will be available. And then there are first study groups where you can start the course, go over the modules, learn together with your peers. Make sure to join one of them, and these conversations are absolutely important. And I know that Jess and Andrew and Chris are also excited to get your feedback, to join the discussion and just make T fundamentals a great learning journey together.
I guess the last thing I'll say too is, this is why it is challenging, because a lot of times it's a very subjective topic. So that's why the study groups will be really important, is to have these kind of conversations and taking this knowledge and building on it and having these kind of discussions to say, hey, how can we do this? Or now that we understand, okay, we have this kind of toolbox of mechanisms in this scenario. If a system has this purpose with this different stakeholders, what mechanisms would we employ there? So a lot of discussion in the study groups are going to be really important, because a lot of these topics don't necessarily have a solution or a direct answer. It's actually generally creates more questions, but you'll have the basic toolkit to have a little more of a scientific approach and also understand some of the basic mechanisms and the trade-offs when we employ them. So looking forward to hearing how you receive it and what areas where we can potentially add or improve so that we can help you on your learning journey. Thanks, Angela.
Okay, we are a little bit short on time, and I want to give Onur the chance to share a final element in the course, which are the math animations. Onur, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, cool.
Do I show up?
Let me share the slides again.
Sure.
And oops, give me a second. Yeah.
Am I coming through clear?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Brilliant.
Okay. I can also share my screen if you like.
I'll do it. Give me a moment. Just get settled. And thanks again, Jessica, for this amazing introduction. It is recorded and we'll share it in the community as well. Thank you. And some final words on the learning experience. So it's important to us, as Andrew pointed out, that we'll have make all the parts of the courses really well accessible, particularly the math part, but not only, and make the course interesting and accessible for everyone, no matter what background you might have, for a wide variety of minds. And math and Python is obviously our shared language, and part of the course is to make algorithms that are steering our system really tangible. This is an important feature of Token Engineers that you can get a feeling for what you are designing. And we are super glad to have Onur on board with Math Blocks to build animations for our course content. And here, thanks for coming, Onur.
Thanks, Angela.
And yeah, please share some more details on your work here.
Yeah, so I and Angela go back to 2019 pre-COVID days in Berlin, and I was like attending TE's like the first series of meetups, and we hit it off back then, and finally I'm like doing something educational, and TE is also launching this course, and it's a great opportunity for me to help out with some visualizations, some animations. With the course in some especially tricky parts where you might have difficulty imagining like how the price, like spot price, is changing with the changing supply of the tokens, things like that. And there, Andrew was like also like breaking new ground with writing animation screenplays as a professor from the script. And then we are like actually taking them and hiring out members of the Manim community. So what is the Manim? First of all, I need to explain that. This is a open source Python library that's used to visualize math topics, various things, linear algebra, differential equations, and so on. It's been developed by this very famous YouTube channel called 3 Blue 1 Brown. I highly recommend if you don't know about it yet. He has like 4 or 5 million subscribers. It's the biggest math channel on YouTube, and it's very, very like good. And I love to, he made a video about Bitcoin. It's the most watched video about Bitcoin, where he's like really breaking down things. So he not only explains various things, machine learning, like he made a video about Wordle, like the recent game, and like I connected it to information theory. So he's like very talented guy, and he put out this library. It spun out a math community on YouTube. People are all around the world pushing out, explaining their topics. It's like a math renaissance, and we're part of this with the token engineering community, putting out like nice visualizations into the course, helping people to like learn this more easier. Better visuals means easier understanding. Like it's hard to imagine things sometimes. So basically, we are hiring out developers directly from the Manim community, and I'm cat herding them a little bit. Angela, can you go to the next slide? So yeah, basically on Math Blocks' main goal is to support educational creators. For example, I created a manim.dev. It's a website, a roster, and a job board for Manim devs. Very small right now, but I see like I have this full developer that's building animations that's especially tricky or hard to do in other After Effects or other motion design software. It's done better programmatically. For example, many blockchain things, blockchain topics are like this. So you would need to hire like this kind of engineer who is studying maybe bachelor's and learn how to use this library, and they're actually making money. So I want to create like a website for them, and if you want to actually hire an animator, you can directly like use their contact information and reach out to them. You can reach out to me, and I can help you produce, like manage the production process. So I will try to skip quickly, not to take too much time. Angela, the next one, please. Thank you. So I also developed awesome Manim. Awesome is like a list format on GitHub. You have awesome Python, a lot of Python resources. So awesome Manim is a lot of like creators that use Manim. So it's a website, and it's also a GitHub repo. So we fetched all the new videos, and you can view them. You can like all different topics. You can see like about computer science, about math, like a lot of things of engineering. So if you're like a nerd, this might be, you can reach out to the MathBlocks Discord later on to find out about this. And then there must be one more slide.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, our goal is to North Star is to like enable educational content on the internet. So, you know, Google Books already scanned all these books. Like, have you ever searched like all these books over the last 150 years? You can find them on Google Books. Imagine you could turn them automatically all into video, and you can, each of them is a 3 blue 1 brown level quality video. Like that's sort of our one of our main goals, to make this all like learning process automated. So to demonstrate, as a first step, we took Euclid's Elements, one of the first geometry, I mean, version of basically most famous geometry textbook from like 2000 years ago, and we converted it into, like, right now it's 14 hours, like it's going to be like 20 hours of video when we are over. We're continuously iterating on this. It's like something that we iterate on and improve our process, something to, you know, build upon. So this is just sort of our main goal, and yeah, it's great to have like to be working with token engineering community on this. We are like doing many things that, you know, maybe we'll have some voiceovers in the animations, and we will use this also plugin that that we're developing on this, which will be very it's cutting edge content, so to say. That lives 100% in code, created with open source software. So yeah, any of you are interested in stuff like this, you can. I added a link to this slides, but I think you're having a different new version. I will drop a link. It's mathblocks.io/discord. I'll drop a link to the chat. If you want to join our Discord, you can reach out to me. You can also reach out to me on the TE Discord, which is, my username is Prism0x. So that's me, Angela. I think I finished right 3 minutes before the. Do we have any more speakers? I hope I didn't take too much time.
Oh no, we don't have more speakers. We just have a huge birthday party kicking off in 3 minutes. But no worries. Are there any questions? I mean, I'm super excited about MathBlocks and these animations, because it's like we've seen in our open science initiatives already that it's just makes anything discussing math, translating requirements into math, communicating the, you know, edge cases, the landscape of an algorithm you design. It makes it so much easier. And that's why I hope that we'll see a lot of activities around animate mechanisms that we design for token-based systems.
It's a huge need to communicate what you're designing, like, because it's often complex. Take MakerDAO, it's super complicated with all the contracts interacting. What if you could just very easily visualize that, anything you do, and all the explanations change with your design, you know, that's sort of also TE vision, I think.
Right, and Sergio is asking, do we need any prior coding experience to learn this? I guess you're now referring to Manem.
Right.
Onur?
Yes. Well, Python, you need to know a little bit Python, but it's like if you know Flash, Adobe Flash. I mean, it's not used anymore. It's like kind of like that, but without a user interface. If you reach out to the Discord, there should be some resources to learn. There's on YouTube, if you search for intro to Manem, there's a YouTuber, actually the very YouTuber we hired for the production. He's created Manem courses, so you could easily learn all the tips and tricks Yeah,
All right.
it's called Theorem of Beethoven. I'm gonna drop a link.
Okay,
So-
yeah, cool. I would now close the session. Honor, you'll be available, and I'm looking forward to see the animations at TE Fundamentals. I hope we answered all your questions today, and I hope to see every one of you in the study groups and yeah, embarking on this journey of becoming a token engineer. It was a great day so far, because now put on your sunglasses and your fancy dress, grab a drink. We'll be back in 5 minutes to kick off our party, and I promise there'll be a personality test without putting you on the spot. There'll be a quiz about the early days of token engineering, and we'll have a lot of fun. So see you in 5 minutes, grab a drink, and we'll be right back.
Quick
Oh, did I
question.
miss anything, Patty?
No, I just wonder, should we close the call or keep it and just
We keep it open.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
just stay.
So yeah, okay.
Okay.